Now, how'd you do that?
I just put it up there. It's
Oh,
been like
okay.
that. We are here. We are finally here. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Uh, this is the Black Butterfly Podcast. My name is Amaru. You call me Amaru. A lot of people know me by Eugene Amaru Wakefield. And this is our new platform. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Candice.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Black Butterfly Podcast. All of you, most of you know me. I am Candace Wilson.
Okay, and so let me turn this music off. Make sure y'all can hear us. So um, this is pretty interesting because when we're just going to talk about why this podcast was created. When Candace notified me that she wanted to do a podcast with me, I'm just like, wow, like I'm literally crazy, right? I'm literally the crazy person you want to do a podcast with. But she had her concerns and her thoughts about some things. And one of the things she said was because we needed to have a platform, well, especially from where we're from, Gary, Indiana, right? And a lot of people from Gary, Indiana are all over the place, right? And no one's really, not to my knowledge, not to her knowledge, no one's ever really did something like this, where we're talking about healthy Black relationships. And so some of those relationships can be from man and woman, heterosexual, right? Man and wife, husband and wife, obviously, but also son, daughter, son, mother, daughter, grandfather, grandkids, boyfriend, girlfriend, so on and so forth. And so we wanted to uh, talk about some of those issues because a lot of times when we have platforms like this, we always talk about what's wrong, but never talk about what's right with those relationships. And so, when she asked me to do this, I was just like, absolutely, I'm down. So go ahead, Candice.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Amir. Yes, absolutely. I wanted to just kind of like dive in and create a platform where we can discuss healthy Black relationships. Oftentimes, as Eugene said, we focus on the negative relationships, and on social media, we hear a lot about toxic relationships, unhealthy boundaries, and different things like that. So I thought it would be a good idea for us just to kind of dive in and talk about what a healthy relationship looks like, whether it's again between mother and father, siblings, grandparents, different things like that. So we want to discuss, what is love, and I think love for different may have a different definition, depending on who you talk to, and so. Just really just to kind of talk about it, what is love? What does that mean? And for me, it's just having an intense feeling for someone, a deep admiration for someone, right? Having unconditional love for someone. And when we talk about love, the truest, purest form of love is what we call agape love. And that's the love that God has for us. Okay. He has agape love. And that is the truest form of love. It's unconditional love, loving without limits. All right. So, Eugene, do you want to discuss why we decided to call it the Black Butterfly?
Well, it's funny because um, I wanted to use that name for something else. This is in the past, and so I actually stole it from somebody. One of my friends, her name was Janice. She called herself the Black Butterfly. So shout out to Janice Wall. So, but it's a cool process because when you talk about how the creature evolves into a butterfly, the metamorphosis. And so then I'd like to give a picture, if I could, to demonstrate what that process is like. And so, well, first of all, we couldn't use the traditional black butterfly, right? Because when I looked on all these platforms, everybody has that name, right? And so that's why the Q was used and the DD was used, right, to give it some type of flavor and to give it its unique ability to grab people's attention. And so that's why that was chosen. But if you look at the stages of the butterfly that's on the screen, obviously, we already know when you're born, you're an egg and all that. And then, you mature, that that egg matures into a caterpillar, right? But then the critical stage, and this is the stage that we are speaking from, and we're calling this room the cocoon room, right? That's the chrysalis. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, chrysalis. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but that is the cocoon.
Chrysalis.
Chrysalis. I'm sorry. See, I'm really bad with pronunciations, right? But that is the stage where the true growth begins, because then that's the maturation process, and this whole entire process is called the metamorphosis process. And so, if you look into the diagram, right, and not to be too technical, right, you get a young adult, so then you become an adult, right, and you start flying. That's the butterfly. That's the ultimate stage. And so for me, now I give it back to Candace here. That's critical, because some people, and I was reading on this, some like the cocoon can hang upside down versus hanging up, right side up, right? And so it just signified to me different people grow at different times and different phases, right? It could be 2 weeks, and it says, and it's just interesting, right? When you growing into a butterfly, sometimes that stage could be longer than others. It could be shorter than others, just like with life, right? People can grow faster than others, right? When you be the same age, or it takes other people slower than others to mature, right? And so I give it back to Candace, but that's what my insight was. And that's why I thought it was cool to call it the Black Butterfly Podcast.
Absolutely right. So the cocoon, it could grow for 2 weeks, or some will take 2 years. And so when we came up with the concept of calling it the Black Butterfly, I spoke with Amir and I said, you know what? If you look at the transition of African Americans or people of color, we have been through so much, but we're constantly evolving. Okay, one hurdle comes, one obstacle comes, we grow and we jump over it. So I thought, essentially, just as it is a butterfly, in the Black community, we are always evolving, and so that is why we came up with the concept of the Black Butterfly. All right, and real quick before I hand it back over to Amir, we are going to talk about healthy relationships, but we also want to define what it looks like, to be in a toxic relationship. What is a toxic relationship? Oftentimes, people really don't know exactly what it is. So they believe that they're in a healthy relationship, but they are actually not. And so a toxic relationship, right? It is one that is mentally, emotionally, and spiritually damaging. Okay, one where in the relationship, it if you see red flags, run. Okay, some red flags are someone who always is trying to dominate the relationship. They want to look at people and tell their mate that they're inferior to them or they're unequal, and that's just not okay, not acceptable. Okay, deception oftentimes will be in a relationship that is very toxic. So if you see those red flags, run. The good flags are the green flags. Okay, so know the difference between healthy relationships and also toxic relationships. So.
And I think, just to add, a lot of people, we know what a toxic relationship looks like, but this, again, it's just not relational as far as man and woman, right? Boyfriend, girlfriend. It could be friendships. You can have toxic friendships, right? People who don't give you the same energy as you give them, right? It could be family members, right? The same thing. You give them 100% support, they don't give you any energy in that area. And so those, obviously, this is a preview, right, of shows to come, but those are some of the topics that we're going to be talking about. And I like to switch gears here too. But a lot of us, when we started this, also, I told Candace, I said, we want to add some spice to it too. And so, like, Candace loves her shoes, right? And so we would have Candace, who would be supporting her shoe of the day, or the shoe of the week, shoe of the month, because when I seen her a little while ago, her shoes were glittery, right? And so I thought that would be a cool thing to do, to highlight some shoes that someone may have created, that's local, black owned, someone who was in the area that we know of, or just maybe a black entrepreneur who created the shoe, right? And so try to give it a little fun, flavor, because a lot of times when we do see these platforms, we don't have any areas where we're celebrating one another, right? And so one of the things too, we also want to talk about when we have our future shows, was having a person to talk about, the Black couple of the month, right? a couple that we look to for wisdom, who's been together for a long time, right? Marriage is not going to be perfect. We all understand that. Relationships are never perfect. Like there's no perfect relationship, but be able to have that couple on and give us, pertinent advice to maintain a healthy, long-lasting relationship with your spouse. Um, this was Candace's idea right here, which was word of the day. And I like, give those to Candace.
All right. So today, let's see what our word of the day will be. I think it would be compassion.
Okay.
Compassion will be the word of the day. And also, if you guys know anyone in your family or even yourself that is willing to talk to us or would like to, like an interview, just DM us and let us know that you want to come on and share your experiences with your relationship. Okay. And then love your family members, your spouses, your significant other, your children without limits.
And then pivot a little bit too. So another one of the things that we would like to highlight, right? Because I see a lot of it on Facebook, and I love it, right? Because a lot of us who have kids, they're excelling if it's in sports, and we always posting that, which is great, right? I think that's great, but I would love to, and if you see the ticker at the bottom line right there, I like to highlight student of the month, right? One of your students or one of your kids who are doing good, as far as academically. A lot of times we don't boast and brag on our kids who are excelling academically only when they're getting to college, but the ones that's maintaining, they don't have to have a 4.0 GPA, 3.0 GPA, right? They're just making their way through school and diversifying themselves in other activities. And so I would love to do that. So that this podcast is going to require a lot of you guys' engagement, right? Because we wouldn't know who to nominate unless you submitted to us to nominate them. So.
Let me dive in real quick. Speaking of that, you know who I really want to shout out to, because
go ahead, shout out
one of our classmates, and I always see him on social media and on Instagram. Bobo, better known, Garrett Williams, and his boys. All of his boys are phenomenal. They are athletes. I think they run track, football, and he's always on the field with his boys. Whether it is taking them out of town to some sporting event, college events and things like that. So really, just highlighting that. I think it's phenomenal that he is always on the field with his boys. So shout out to Bobo.
Shout out to Bobo. Garrett Williams, what's up, brother? I also like to give a shout out to our friend from Allen Pals, Al, right? Because remember, he helped us with getting acclimated to StreamYard, right?
We just started with our podcast. Thanks, Al. Good looking out.
So that was just a preview, guys. We will be coming to you. We'll probably do this bi-weekly. So because we got to work out the kinks, obviously, to make sure that we're giving you a great show. But again, thank you guys for your time. I will be signing off. My name is Amari Wakefield.
All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. This is Candace Wilson. Until next time.
Peace.